purpose of this video is to show you how easy it is to create an outbound email alert with BPA platform, formerly known as Task Center. So here we are in the workspace. I've done my prior setup so we could just focus on sending alerts today. And so I've connected to my sample ERP data via ODBC. You'll see we have some other options there as well. And I've also set up my Outbound Smtp to send the email message. We will have videos at a later date with configuration setup instructions. So let's focus on creating our alert, which is done in the tasks. You will see that we have many folders under our tasks. You can create as many folders and subfolders as you wish, so you can organize them by application, by user, by functionality, and the security is at a folder level. So we want to do an inventory alert, so here I am in my alerts. We'll say right click, new task, we'll give it a name. And we'll start designing our task. So we can just create our steps here. So our first step is going to be a query. So we'll bring this over and again give it a name. Choose our connection to our sample ERP data and start creating our query. So here I want an inventory alert, so I'm going to grab the fields of information I want and drag them over into the columns. So we'll start here. And I want to do recent cost is greater than last cost. Of course, I'd like to know what the item number is. Here's last cost. Hit R on the keyboard. Here's recent cost. And I see it doesn't have a description. I believe that's in the ICI item, so I'll come down here and grab the description, and I actually think I would like that over here, so it's in that order. I'd also like to know the difference in cost as well as the percentage of increase, so those are created here in the formulas, so I can say new formula, and we're going to say difference in cost. And I've just put these on my notepad to save time from typing. So we have recent cost minus last cost. And now we'll create our percentage. And again, grab that from my notepad and say OK. So we want those to display in our columns as well. And now I want to set up the criteria. Actually, now that we have multiple tables in our query, you'll see here that I can just join these. I can choose my join type. And if I needed to join multiple fields, we could do that as well very easily. So in our criteria, we want to know if recent cost is greater than last cost. So we'll just do it like that. And then we want to know if the percentage is greater than 10%, let's say, is greater than 10%. We'll say last cost does not equal 0. And if I drag this here, I can say an and or. We want it to leave it at and, does not equal 0, but I just wanted to show you how you can do your and or very easily. And so now we should be able to see that we have a difference in cost and an increase over 10%, and that's how we create our query. We now want to format our data into an HTML message. So here in the browser we can come to Format, choose HTML, and drag that onto our workspace. And we want to use the record set from the query that we created, and then we want to format our message. So this is a blank HTML message. I can import a template that I've created for this purpose. Yes, I want to overwrite my blank HTML, and I also want to include a table. So here we're going to design a table, and we're going to drag over here from our browser, from the record source of the underlying query, the fields we want to include in the table. So now I want to rename the columns. And I want to choose the percentage of width these columns are going to take up in the whole table space. So I've already done a little calculation in my head, so we're going to do that now. 15%, 25, and we should have 100. Now we can change the format of the data in the table. So item number as text is fine, description text is fine, but let's change this to currency, and you'll see we can select our regions. So I'm going to use the system defaults. And then the percentage is numeric, and if I remember correctly from the results of our query, it had quite a few decimals. So I'd actually like to just do this. There we go. So we are done formatting our columns. Let's take a look at the preview. I'd like to clean this up a little bit. So I can come over to formatting, do my font, my padding, colors, and so forth. I have actually saved that as a profile, so we'll do this, and then we can preview our table. Oh, I like that much better. And say OK. And now we insert our table where we want it. Let's bring that table up a little, preview, and there we go. And our HTML is done. Now we can just drag our query onto our HTML. Now we're going to create our outbound SMTP email message. I'm going to come over in the browser to Tools, choose Output, and then drag over my SMTP message. Give it a name. Choose the documents from the previous step. Choose who it's going to be sent from. Now I could do a dynamic email address. If in the record set of the underlying query I had chosen something like account rep email address, I could put that here in the dynamic email address, but we're going to simply use our demo user today. Same thing with the recipients. If in the underlying query I had a sales order email address, a customer email address, I can drag those in the to and the CC and the BCC as well, and these are sent as a single message. The recipients can see everyone except for the BCC users, of course. I'm going to type in my subject. Now I can just create an email message, drag over data from the underlying query, or I can simply use the document from the HTML source I created. And of course we have our standard error options. And our SMTP email is created. Drag your HTML onto your email, and we're done. So the next logical step is, how are we going to trigger or schedule this email alert? We can go over to the Tools option, select Event, and you'll see here we can set a schedule, have a trigger from Oracle or SQL, have an inbound email fire off a task, or a workflow job submission. There will be videos at later dates about all these features, but I just very quickly wanted to show you the schedule feature. We will be firing this off manually in just a moment. We can choose our time zones and choose which type of schedule we want to use. So fire it only once, every X minutes, hours, run every day, run every other day, which weeks, on specified days. And you'll see that each task can have a start and end date. So very nice, flexible scheduling mechanism. But we are going to fire this off manually. So we're done. I'll say OK. Here is our task. Say Q now. We'll see that process, and then we'll come over, hit send receive, and there's our email. Very good. So we set up an alert for items with a cost increase of 10% or more in about 10 minutes.